Welcome back. Sports can add structure to the lives of our young athletes, but something that comes with the territory is injuries.
And joining us now is Dr. Michael Yorio. He is part of the team over at Jacksonville Orthopaedic Institute. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Talking about, and we just a second ago, an extended Jaguar season. Of course, he's super excited. And you said you're getting ready for some cold temperatures coming up. You travel with the team.
We're ready, absolutely. We got our hand warmers and our foot warmers, so we're going to be fine.
You're gonna need that, boy. Talking like 20 degrees in the teens. I'm just cold thinking about it. But let's talk about sports because, you know, kids in school coming back from the winter break, colder temperatures out there. What's some advice would you see based on the type of injuries that you're seeing in your practice as it comes to kids and injuries, you know, out and about these days?
Yeah, we see a ton of injuries in kids playing sports. I mean, we're in sports medicine. And about 25 to 30% of those injuries come from organized sports, actually playing for teams. And then an additional 40% come from just unorganized, just going out and playing ball. So it's a significant amount of volume of injuries that we see. We can break them down into two different groups. There's traumatic injuries and then overuse injuries. Traumatic injuries would be your impact with another player, hit the ground, hit by a ball. Your contusions, sprains, fractures, different things like that. Overuse injuries would be sort of high volume of play. Baseball pitcher throwing a lot and having a sore shoulder, sore elbow, sort of tendonitis, or stress fractures down in the legs. What's unique for kids are growth plates. So younger athletes, adolescents, and in early teens will have open growth plates. And those growth plates are always the weakest point in the kinetic chain, so they're always vulnerable to injuries for both traumatic and overuse injuries. So that's always a consideration whenever we're seeing someone.
And it just seems, I mean, obviously everybody who out there has a child in sports or travel, baseball, travel soccer, you know, the seasons are no longer like they were when I grew up. It was you played, you know, soccer this season, then football, then back. They're playing all year long. So parents, how do they prevent these? What are some things they need to do? Because kids don't like to stretch, they don't like to do that stuff, they want to do the fun stuff. Right. How do parents prevent this?
Yeah, they just want to roll out of bed and play.
Right.
You know, I think the way to think about it is preventing each different type of injury, because it's really a different approach for each. For traumatic injuries, it's making sure that they have the proper equipment. You can't eliminate the possibility of them having an injury if they're playing a contact sport, but certainly making sure that they're wearing the proper equipment, that it fits right. Hand-me-downs are great, but if they're old and past their due date, or they just don't fit well, you know, potentially they're at more risk. And also making sure the playing surface is right. You know, a lot of injuries happen. You're running on a field with a lot of divots and holes, and or the wrong surface, playing on asphalt as opposed to playing on grass. Proper coaching, you know, understanding the risk of injuries during practice, really, you know, limiting the potential for injury in practice is good. And plus, when players are fatigued, when athletes are fatigued, they do have a higher risk of traumatic injury. So certainly considering that from a coaching standpoint. And then good sportsmanship. You know, having a healthy respect for your opponent and the rules will help to limit injuries while playing. Now, for overuse injuries, it's a little bit simpler. You know, it's really volume and technique. You know, limiting the amount of repetitions, that's their pitch counts for youth baseball, to limit the amount of volume, and mechanics, making sure that they're pitching appropriately. Otherwise, they're going to overload their elbow, overload their shoulders if they're not using their legs and their back when they throw. As far as the volume, just understanding that it's important to give time to recover. 1 to 2 days a week is appropriate amount of time to recover.
Yeah, that's really important. And when you talk about, too, some kids will choose one sport, and that's their specialty. And so when you talk about those overuse injuries, you know, if you're not breaking it up with a track and field or a basketball, a baseball, you know, to kind of use different muscles, that can be more prevalent, right, as you use the pitching analogy.
That's exactly right. I mean, that's we call that early sports specialization. And there are positives and negatives about early sports specialization. Certainly from the standpoint of overuse, your body is doing the same movement, especially if you're a pitcher, doing the same movement every day, 12 months of the year. Certainly that's a high volume on the body, and whether or not you're allowing enough to recover. The way we look at it is there are sport specializers, and then there are sport pickers. The sport pickers are the ones that will play any sport, so and they have their positives and negatives. So play soccer, play basketball, play football, play all these different things are positives. But from a negative standpoint, if you're playing multiple, play football in the morning and basketball in the evening, that's too much. So from a sports specializer standpoint, making sure that you're allowing 1 to 2 days a week of rest, 2 to 3 months off a year from that sport, and then you still have the benefits of playing a sport and doing all the things you want to and reducing your risk of injury. And from the sport picker standpoint, limiting to just one sport at a time.
And we're almost out of time, and it's a topic that needs way more time, but I want to tell folks out there if they want to come talk to you about concussions, that's obviously on top of everyone's mind, about prevention and things to look for in that. Is that something you guys help out with?
Sure. Yeah, we have a concussion center, and that's one of the focuses of my practice. I think with kids, it's completely different than how we manage professional athletes or collegiate athletes. The developing brain is much more vulnerable to more significant injury, more catastrophic injury, and prolonged recovery. So when in doubt, keep them out.
All
Good
right.
stuff. Good stuff.
Good
Thanks,
to
Doc.
see you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate
I
you
appreciate
being
it.
here.
And a special thanks to Jacksonville Orthopaedic Institute for sponsoring this segment. And for more information, you can log on to their website, which is joi.net, or call 904-391-6955.